say go live. Does it say live?
You are live.
All right. Okay. Thanks, everybody. So, yes, I'm Sarah Blessing. I want to thank everybody involved with this Floyd County Democratic Women's Caucus. It gives me a lot of hope as someone coming in and trying to help and really trying to save our state from our extremist government, that you all have been doing this work and continue to do this work. And I just really want to thank all of you all. If you're just starting or if you've been doing this for a few years, thank you. I'm going to talk about three things tonight. I'm going to talk about why Tim and I started Project Next and Unity. I'm going to talk about sexism. And then I'm going to end on the most important thing I have learned how to succeed in life. And it's something that I've learned recently, I guess, more. So the first thing, Project Next. So Tim Peck and I met when he was running for Congress, and I decided to run for State House to try to help him win, because State House District 70 is very rural, and I really didn't have much of a chance, but I did everything I could to get as many voters out there to maybe help Jennifer McCormick and help Tim and help Destiny and all the people. And I became close friends with him, and it was really wonderful. And we did a lot of events together, and we did a lot of content together. And then the election happened, and we kind of woke up out of our bubble of meeting a lot of people and everybody liking what we were saying. And we didn't do great in Indiana, and we didn't do great as a country. And it was shocking. Anybody else shocked that night? I know. I was really hoping to tell my daughter we had a woman president, right? I mean, that hurt. I don't think will ever go away. And we just were talking about, what are we missing? Well, we're in a political bubble. Most people, most voters in Indiana have no idea what's going on with local issues. They just know about national, and Democrats didn't turn out for us in Indiana. They were very hopeless, and they just were like, why even try? We know Indiana's going to go Republican. And how do we fix it? Well, we have to get out of our political bubble, and we have to reach people in different ways. Also, our media, our news sources are lying to us. They are telling us that our neighbors that vote differently than us are evil and scary, and we should not talk to them. And that is literally the worst thing we could be doing. How are we going to get them to vote for progress and vote for change if we hate them and think they're terrible people? I'm going to tell you a personal story. I live in Palmyra. It's a small town of around 900. Most of those people either don't vote or vote Republican. And I love all of them. And I don't care if they didn't vote for me for State House. I got 27% of the vote, by the way. I don't care. They're great people. I love them. I have one neighbor, lives about 2 blocks away from me off 135, next to this You Pick Plant flower place. And he has a sign. It's like a restaurant sign. And he puts up MAGA stuff every couple weeks. Has anybody driven past or seen that? And he puts up stuff like, Kamala, you're fired. MAGA wins. Trump is right about everything. And he causes quite a bit of anger for people that drive past. Sometimes he uses cuss words about Kamala Harris. Sometimes like the whole time Biden was president, pretty offensive content about Biden. You would think this person, terrible person, right? Right? Wouldn't you? Guess what? I met him. I talked with him for half an hour a couple years ago in the parking lot at our local bank. That man is a very sweet guy. I really like him. He's really nice. He cares about the community. Guess what his job is? He might be putting terrible things on his sign. You know what his job is? He drives a car that looks like a cop car, and you call him if you're drunk, and he drives you home. He doesn't make a ton of money. That man has probably saved people's lives in Palmyra. You're going to tell me I should hate him because of what he's putting on that sign? No. We have to dig deeper. What people put out, what they say online is not really who they are. We have to get over our hurt and talk to these people. If I would have, I could have just yelled at him for his sign and we could have been enemies and he could have gone on thinking I was a terrible person, but I didn't let the sign get in the way. That's what I'm asking from all of you. We have got to unite. We also need to realize these people, most of them are nice and decent people. They're watching news that's very filled with fear and hate and propaganda. They're seeing a very different side about what's happening to our government right now than what we're seeing. So a lot of times people are saying, like, how could they vote for this person? Well, they're seeing completely different things than we are. We have to realize that. Be mad at the propaganda. Be mad at the lies. Be mad at the people profiting off of our fears. Don't be mad at the people that are being duped. And we also need to realize the left, we're being duped too. Do you know how many people have told me we've already lost our democracy since the election? That is not true. We have a democracy. It's a little shaky. We got voter suppression. It might be tested, but we still have it. I've recently become friends with a man named Brian Zimmerman. He's a Republican and he's a former Special Forces veteran. He's been to over 20 countries, not the countries you go to for vacation, the countries that don't have a democracy, the countries where the women don't get to vote, they don't get to go to school, they don't get to pick what they want to wear or have a job. Those countries don't have a democracy. We still have one, and we have to fight for it. The easiest way these people are manipulating us is making us feel hopeless, and we can never do that. You all meeting here tonight, making new friends, working together, this is the antidote, you all. We have a democracy, we have to fight for it, then we've got to tighten it up and fix some things, but this is not over. We have an election, a year and a month, we're gonna have a primary. We need to fill up our ballot. We need to make primaries full of competition for Democrats. Get everybody out here. I want 10 people to run against me for State House. Anybody want to? You know? Let's do it. Get people out. Tim's going to have opponents. At least one is already announced. Tim wants competition. Competition's good. You all come out and vote for who you think is better. So that is another thing we can do. And basically, Tim and I started Project Next so that we are not a Democrat media company. We're not a Republican media company. We are a people first media company. And we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitch. Some stuff's on TikTok, we're on Blue Sky. We're trying to be everywhere. But we don't have an agenda other than what's best for the people. We will have Republicans on the show. We'll have not political people on. We will go to businesses and lift up local. It's all about uniting. I will show you nice Republicans if you don't know any. I bet you all do. I bet you know a bunch of great ones. And then the second thing I want to talk about is sexism. It's something I thought I've never talked about this publicly before, but wouldn't it be kind of fitting in a women's caucus meeting? So raise your hand if you're a woman and you've experienced sexism in your life. I would just like to thank the generations that are older than me. I'm 44 because I know you have had it worse than I have had, and I know that you have pulled things up better for me and for my children and for everyone else. So I would like to thank you because you've been doing this work a long time. I don't know about you all, but ever since I could talk, I was told I was wrong so many times. I mean, hundreds of thousands of times. I was a teacher for 18 years. I would say something in a meeting and I would be told I was wrong. And then a few minutes later, the man teacher would say the exact same thing and be told he was right. Anybody else ever been there? Had that happen? Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why I'm strong now. Because I knew sometimes I was wrong, you know, but a lot of times I was right and I knew it and I wasn't going to stop. We have to do that. We have to fight. And then, has anybody ever been in a room and you've talked and you've been interrupted? And then the man talks and they don't interrupt him? Anybody have that happen? Here's some things we can do to fix that.
I had that happen just an hour ago.
There's things we can do. Sexism is really hard to identify because the person doesn't interrupt you and say, I'm sorry, you're a woman and what you're saying isn't as important as the man. You know, sometimes they'll say, you're pretty young, or fill in the blank, because basically if we're to talk, we're to be perfect, and we're never perfect. And it's so frustrating. So I've had this happen a lot, and now I'm co-founders with a Dr. Timothy Peck. Okay, we are co-founders of Project Next. It's interesting. We'll be in a room and we'll talk, and I'll get interrupted, but he won't. And this happened in an event a few months ago, and I pulled him aside and I said, did you notice that happened? He's like, no, what happened? And I explained it. And he goes, oh. And then he said this, what can I do to help? I was like, this is why you're one of my best friends, Tim Peck. I said, next time, back me up, you know? And so he's like, well, if I don't back you up, I'm not paying attention and you know, smack me or something. He goes, you got it. That's the type of stuff we can do. You don't have to be a man to do that. You can be in a room like this and another woman gets interrupted and you can say, excuse me, I want to hear what she has to say. We can do this. My daughter deserves better. All of you deserve better. Let's lift us up even more. Who's angry that we don't have women's healthcare rights in Indiana? I almost died twice giving birth. I had triplets and one of them didn't make it, and it was an extremely complicated pregnancy. And now I have twins that are 6, and little Armin is a little girl and she died at week 29. And I almost died delivering them. And then the recovery was rough. And I was asked a lot of choices for that really intense thing. I had them in 2018 before we lost our right. I don't know if I'd be here today if I would have to deliver in Kentucky or in Ohio or in Indiana. So you think I'm going to stop fighting for women's rights? Are you guys? Anybody got women they're worried about? I got a 6-year-old daughter. I'm not stopping. You know, I talk to people all the time that say, you know, my daughter's going off to college. We're doing this to protect her. I don't know if you all realize this, but since we lost our right, our birth rate has gone down. Women are not having as many children because they're scared they're not going to survive, and they should be. We are losing OBGYNs in Indiana. This is a terrible problem. Don't lose hope. Experts say it's going to take about 20 years to get it back. I'm not stopping. If we don't push on this, it will be longer. But we're going to have to do what we can. And is it going to be a national? Are we going to lose it nationally? Because right now, we can go to Illinois. So I'm going to get my daughter an OBGYN here. I'm going to get her one in Illinois. Yeah. And that's what I recommend you all do too, if you can. But not everybody can do that. Not everybody has the resources. So I just wanted to say, being a woman, we have to work harder to be listened to. It's not always like this where you're all so amazing and respectful. We have to do it, and it also makes us stronger, right? That's why you all are so incredible. We've had challenges that these men haven't had. They haven't been told, be quiet, you're wrong, as many times as we have, and it has made us stronger. We need to use that, and we need more leaders in this area, in Floyd County, in Harrison County, wherever you're from. We need more leaders like you. So I'd love for you to ask yourself, what do you want to do to help? We're all upset. You're here for a lot of reasons, right? What are you most passionate about? And get in touch with somebody in this room, and let's put you give you a seat at the table, and let's do some things. So you can talk to me if you want any help with me. I can certainly help. I'm doing a lot of stuff. But you deserve a seat at the table. Always, always know that. And I'm just thank you. Thank you for all that you have done. All of the women in front of me, thank you. My third thing that is really just something I don't think everybody knows. In my opinion, the most important thing to succeed in life is to never, ever, ever give up. You fail a million times. You dust yourself off. You pick yourself up. You learn from that, and you keep going. Also, not all failures are failures. Nobody would run for State House District 70 because we all knew we didn't stand a chance. When I told Adam that I was going to run, he's like, you do not stand a chance. I'm like, I know. I'm trying to help other people win. And then I got 27% of the vote. But nobody wanted to run. I barely made it in time. I kept trying to find somebody to run. Nobody would do it. You know why? I think it's because most people don't want to lose in an election. They think it's a reflection on them. I wouldn't be standing here right now. I would not have met Tim Peck. I wouldn't have met a lot of you all. I wouldn't have started Project Next if I didn't run for State House. Do you think I think that's a failure? I'm so glad. I'm running again. I'll lose again, lose more. I don't care. You know, sometimes what other people think is a failure isn't. And even if it is, you just learn from it. That is literally the secret to life. Our culture is always saying, you messed up once, you better back down and never do that again. And that is the absolute worst. And it's also how like bad people control us. They like to act like we're supposed to be perfect, especially as a woman, right? Women are supposed to be perfect, but guess what? No matter what role we do, we're never perfect. You know, whether you're a working mom, stay-at-home mom, don't get married, whatever you're doing, it's wrong. So maybe we should just not worry about what other people think about us, and maybe we should do what we want. You know? Woo! One year ago, almost to the date, I didn't write down what day it was, I had suicidal thoughts, you all. I tried to help a nonprofit, and they made up fake things about me and gaslit me and got me kicked out of the nonprofit really quickly. I was trying to raise a bunch of money, and then the people that were in charge acted like they wanted me to raise money, but they didn't really. Anyway, after that happened, I had suicidal thoughts, but I knew what to do from listening to experts. I knew I was at home alone. All my kids were asleep, and I was by myself. I knew call a loved one. Called my husband. He was at a concert. He didn't answer. Called my mom. She answered. And then my husband answered. And then my husband held me until literally 3 a.m. when I could finally go to sleep. And then I put it on Facebook. I said, I had suicidal thoughts. I'm a mess right now. I said, if you can help me, could you help me? Because I knew I needed to get better so I could be a good mom. That's literally one of the best things that ever happened to me. I don't want to have to repeat it. It was terrible. But I learned so much. I learned who my friends are. I learned how strong I am. And then I started going to therapy. I had 2 therapists say to me, Sarah, why are you doing what your husband wants? Why are you doing what you think your mom wants or your mother-in-law or society? Why aren't you doing what you want to do? And I was like, oh, I've literally never been told that in my entire life. Nobody has ever said to me, Sarah, you should do what you want to do. It's like, Sarah, you're a mom of 3 kids. You better be doing every single thing you possibly can for those 3 kids every second, putting yourself last all the time. Therapy's like, no, do what you want to do. And I was like, oh, well, I want to run for state house. But I think that'd be stressful on my husband. He'll be fine. Do what you want to do. I mean, I don't know whether that's a sexist thing. I think part of it is, but it literally changed my life. You all are here today because you want to be here. Ask yourself that. What do you want to do? Don't put anybody else's expectations on yourself. What do you want? I know what I don't want. I don't want my 3 children seeing me stressed out every day, putting my kids and my husband first and putting me last. I don't want my kids to live that way. I don't want them to see that. I'm going to let them see a successful woman fighting, leading, teaching them how to be leaders, teaching them how to be moral. So I just have that piece of advice for all of you all because I literally learned that 1 year ago. Do what you want to do. You're here. You want to do this. Come on, let's do whatever you can because we've got to save Indiana. Yeah. You can push stop and I'm going to take questions now. Thank you so much.